Welcome to the Women Inspire Aspire podcast. In this episode, I talked to Aakriti Jain about her Spanish experiences.
Hi, Aakriti. Welcome to the podcast. Thanks for taking time to appear in the podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Venkat. Thank you for having me on the podcast. How have things been with you?
Things are great. Things are wonderful. Can you go ahead and tell us a bit about yourself? What do you do? Where do you live, etc.?
Interestingly enough, I'm starting a new job tomorrow. I'm starting as marketing and operations lead in a publishing house. And the house is based in Gurgaon, Haryana, and that's where I'm living at the moment.
That's great. That's wonderful. And what have been your experiences so far? Have you been in marketing and operations all the while, or have you done other roles also?
So honestly, this is a huge leap for me because I go from being a senior copywriter to directly handling overall marketing. I have been writing ads and I have been working as a copywriter for almost 4 years now. And I just realized that it's time for me to actually dive deep into marketing. So everything is pretty much going to be new for me from here onwards. However, I have been in advertising for a while now. I have worked with Happy Rentals. They're this amazing company based in Switzerland. They rent out houses, all the houses that we go for vacations in. These guys rent them out all over Europe. And it's been amazing working with them.
That's wonderful. That's really nice to know. So you said that company was based in Switzerland, right? So did you get an opportunity to travel to Switzerland and Europe?
Oh, yeah, I did. I did. Actually, my opportunity came way before than anybody else's in the office because two very interesting things happened last year. I got married. And the second thing was that I had lived in Spain in 2019. It's my home. So I wanted to visit my home once before I got married. That's what I did. So I went to my director, told her that I want to go to Spain. And then she came back to me with the offer I could not refuse, which was to attend Italy's largest travel conference and then to also work from Switzerland. So that's what I did. Second last trip to Europe was a week in Spain, a week in Switzerland, working from there, traveling there. Since I copyright for them, I visited a lot of their locations. One of them was Lake Como, which is this amazing boutique destination. All the celebrities and hot shots of the world go there. Then I also went to smaller places like Lake Teno, that's also in Italy, Lake Garda, that's also in Italy, as well as Switzerland's prettiest village. It's called Morcote. And honestly, that village is so romantic. Like it cannot easily be put into words. You have to be there to experience it.
Wow. So you had been commuting between Spain and Switzerland all the while during the trip?
Oh, no. So, Spain, I wanted to go to all of the places that I had been to when I was living there for a good 8 months. There was a huge challenge for me actually because my fiance was coming to meet me there as well. So I had to go to all of the places that I loved to relive the nostalgia as well as to show him around a place which was so close to my heart. So we stayed in Spain for a good 8 days. We were in the north for 4 days. We went to Barcelona, Madrid, and Valladolid. It's like a tiny city, which is an hour's drive from Madrid. That's where I lived actually when I was there for 8 months. So we traveled to that place. I showed my fiance around. He met my friends. It was extremely wonderful, although he did not understand a lot of things that I was talking about because I was speaking in Spanish. But it was it was still beautiful, and also all of my friends approved of him, so that was a relief. So we went to the south of Spain to a place close to where Picasso was born, and he lived for a while there. It's called Malaga. And Malaga also has a very special place in my heart because I feel that someday, if I'm able to afford it, that's where I will go and live. We were like in totality 8 days in Spain, and then we flew together to Italy, and then I went for my conference. So I did not do a lot of back and forth between Spain and Italy. I rather did a lot of back and forth from Italy to Switzerland. So I stayed in this tiny town on the border of Switzerland called Porlezza. It's like 15 minutes from the border of Switzerland, and it's in Italy. So I was living in Porlezza, and I would travel every day with my boss to Switzerland and come back to Italy at night.
Wonderful. Great. So that's a fantastic experience. So I heard you saying that Spain was your home. Can you tell us a bit more about it? Why is Spain your home?
Everyone around me is tired of me saying that by now, but I don't get tired of talking about Spain, reliving the nostalgia I have for Spain. Movie like for me, when I say when Spain happened, all the stars aligned together to make it happen for me because I started learning Spanish when I was in college. I learned it for the sake of it. I didn't have a dream to go to Spain. I didn't have a dream to find a job in the embassy. I just wanted to learn it. But that's precisely where everything changed for me for the rest of my life. When I was studying Spanish, I heard about this language assistant program that's basically known all over the world, but it was the first year it was coming to India. Everyone like went for it because it was an opportunity to live in Spain for 8 months and also 700 euros a month, which is pretty decent. Applied for it, not hoping too much, but then when I got it, it was unbelievable. Like I already had 3 great job offers in India, but I left them all behind for this big great adventure for 8 months. I can honestly tell you, this was probably the first time when I landed in Spain was when I felt I belonged somewhere. I don't know, maybe it was the language, maybe it was the people, the way they welcomed me, the way they supported me, the way they sort of accepted me. I felt I was at home. I think a home is a place where you just belong. For 8 months there, and this period was from 2019 to 2020 May, which included the dreaded COVID lockdown. I was there. I was safe in the COVID period when I was like 15 days locked inside 1 bedroom because that's what I rented. I discovered this whole new creative world that I couldn't discover in India. It's not just a home for me, it's like where I found my spirit, I found my soul. For those 15 days, I created every possible thing artistically, which I never even dreamt of doing in India. I made comics, I wrote poetry, I painted, I wrote book reviews, I read so many books, I watched so many movies. It was mind boggling when it happened. I didn't know that a universe existed inside of me, which just came out when Spain happened. And I don't put everything on that COVID period as the period where my creativity came out. I'd actually started going to these lovely clubs where you go in the evening and you can drink wine, you can enjoy cheeses and just have a hobby there. To go every Wednesday to this little club where they would have real people sit down, they would serve wine and they would serve you cheese, and then you can just stay there for 2 hours, 3 hours, drawing them, talking to them, having fun. So it had already started when I moved there. It just found its final culmination in COVID when I actually got the time to sit down and let creativity flow. I was really sad because we were evacuated from there as against my plans, which were to like stay for 1 month more. After my program ended, I had to be evacuated from there to come back to India.
That's pretty sad. But it looks like there is some kind of destiny thing that put you there and make you do all the work. Probably is a past life connection or something. Because everything came together and you were there and you started your artwork and artwork happened.
Yeah, I think it is, right? Because how can you not dream of ever being in a different country? How can you not think of a different language? Like how can everything that is so distant and never came to your mind just wonderfully falls together? And to be honest, it might sound a bit creepy, but when I came back in 2020, and it was not until 2023 that I could go back to Spain. I had a recurrent dream. I had a recurrent dream every week that I am just at the border of the little city Valladolid where I live, and I was unable to enter it. And that dream stopped the moment I went back, because I feel as if, I was evacuated in such a hurry that I didn't even get to process what was happening. And going back, I wasn't looking for any answers. I probably was just looking for a place to feel what I felt when I was there for 8 months. And I was there alone for the very first time. I had never lived outside of my parents' home. So I guess that was a pretty big leap back then.
Yeah, and what do you feel nowadays? You feel like you want to go back there, or is there a urge within you to go back and live there?
So it's a bit tricky in the sense that I have this urge to travel more now, but there are only particular places. And ever since Spain happened, I think there are particular places where I had the urge to go back. Yes, Spain is one of them, but newer additions which I did not anticipate. So, Spain, definitely any day. Es mi casa. That means it's my home. I would go there in a heartbeat. But there are also other places that I found where I would go in a heartbeat.
Interesting. I was asking because I kind of wanted to know if there is still something left for you in Spain, or is it over? Because these kind of things will be out of the mind once that portion of, whatever you need to do there is over, and then you come back. Or is it still left? Is what I was wondering.
I have had a couple of recurring dreams about the same thing. But honestly, the urgency, it's not even an urge. The urgency to go back, it's not there at the moment. I know it'll come back probably later, because I think everything that needed to come together has come together for the moment. And that's pretty much it. That's what I can make of it.
Let's talk about your hobbies and interests other than traveling, of course.
So, one of the other hobbies is that I like playing the guitar. I learned it when I was 14. I think I'm relatively decent at it because I can strum a tune whenever I want, maybe just look up the chords. Well, I haven't been able to pick it up as often as I would like it, but just immersing myself in the movements of the fingers and the tune, it's one of the most soothing things that I love doing. I love driving as well. It's not a hobby per se, but for the kind of family that I have, it might as well be a hobby, because our entire family is so competitive when it comes to driving. You have to make it a good hobby. And the third one, which has now become my hobby, is to learn new languages. I'm learning French right now. I was learning a bit of Italian because all my colleagues are Italian. Yeah, those three I would call as my hobbies, the things that I would turn to anytime.
Interesting. It's really interesting that you are learning French and Italian at the same time. If I were you, I would be very confused because in some ways they are similar, in some ways they are different. Knowing Spanish and then the French and the Italian, so all of them are pretty similar in a way and very different in many other ways. So it will definitely confuse me. I wonder how you manage all that.
I mean, it does take time, okay? Because I sometimes end up replying to my colleague in half Spanish and half Italian, and they just come back to me saying, "We don't know what that means." So it does happen. And with the French, it is a bit more tough because in Spanish, you pronounce every single phonetic sound, much like Hindi. But in French, everybody knows that they eat half of the words. Three words are pronounced the same, but they mean completely different things. But interestingly enough, I think I wrote about it recently as well. They love to pronounce the P in psychology. So it's not psychology for them, it's psychology. So, like, I don't know if like the sound has been caught on the microphone or not, but yeah, just wonderful. Like, I couldn't even imagine any language pronouncing the P in psychology.
Right. And interestingly, many of these languages are from the same origin or from the same mother language. And then they divided based on the regions where people settled in. Yeah, it's a great study in itself, which would take a lifetime. Let's talk about your future plans and what you want to do in your career? What are your aspirations moving forward?
Wow, now all of a sudden this casual podcast seems to me as if it's turned into my 5 year plan. So I feel that my goal would mostly relate to my current job, which would be to lead marketing and operations for a publishing firm. So being a good marketer is one of the goals that I have for the future. And one of the other goals is to publish in a magazine. That's been my dream ever since I was a child. I honestly had no idea how to start or go about it because I have no one in my family who writes. I'm probably the first one who's dared to write. Writing is one of the most wonderful and most terrible thing because once you're obsessed with it, everything is about writing. Every happiness is about writing, every sadness is about writing. So this second part is very challenging for me in a lot of senses because I'm charting a completely new path. I'm trying to connect more with people who've worked in magazines. I'm trying to write more for travel magazines and lifestyle and fashion magazines. These are two of my huge goals and aspirations for the coming future. And well, I will soon also be moving to Canada because I got married to an Indian Canadian. Maybe by the start of next year, I'll already be there.
And that explains why you are learning French.
Not really, as honestly, I've gotten that response so many times. But no, no, that's not why I'm learning French. I actually wanted to start 4 years ago already, but just had different plans. I was into a lot of other things. I was doing this or that. I was always confused between Italian or French. So I learned Italian, a lot of it, and now it's time for French. So I can juggle between both of them.
Pretty interesting.
I will talk about like a huge realization that I've had about myself and with which I struggled for the longest time, which was I was born and brought up in a joint family. I've always seen a happy family. I've never really, as a child or even as a teenager, never really understood what was solitude, the definition of it. But when I found it, I also found this new self that I had. And it took me almost 10 years because it started in college, because that was also the first time I was alone, finding things, finding myself. I was dabbling in a lot of revolutionary ideas. And it took me 10 years to realize that I can be both. Because for me, a person who's a people's people was very different from a person who loved solitude. However, I realized that I'm both of them. Like today, 2nd October, everybody is at home and we've just sat in our drawing room, made fun of each other. We've talked about future, past, present, everything. We've made jokes, teased each other. And I felt so full and I felt so happy. And literally, like, this realization has come today that, that I am that person who loves being with the family, and I'm also a person who loves being by herself, who loves her company, who loves solitude. And it's okay to be that person. It's okay. Yeah.
Okay, so if you are left to yourself, you will be joyful even if you're the only person in the room. That's what you're saying.
Yes. And I guess I'm also saying that I love being with people, but I also love preserving my solitude. Both are the things.
Okay, that's great to have that balance. That's how things work. Sometimes you got to be by yourself, managing your own things, and you got to be in the social situations also, dealing with other people, which is great. Anything that you want to advise or give tips to the younger generation who are getting into the writing or the travel space?
I think for writing, my one advice would be do not think too much about how different what it is that you're writing. Just write like yourself. Yes, you would need editing. Yes, you would need refinement, but stay true to your vision. It's easy to lose that vision when it comes to editing and marketing. And at the end of the day, writing is about exploring the questions that have troubled you. They might have been explored before, but it's your journey now. The people who wrote before you got their life, you've got one now. So write truly and write like yourself.
Okay, that's great advice. Do you have any questions for me?
Oh, I had this question which I couldn't find a lot of information about on the internet, because obviously I googled you. How did you figure out that you wanted to hear people talk endlessly about themselves? Like for the last 40 minutes I feel, okay, finally I have a person who will listen to me without speaking. And I think everybody wants that right now. So how do you find that patience? How do you find that excitement to talk to people, to know more about them? Then and then you don't even get a chance to talk about yourself too much.
It's just that I like to listen to other people and their views. I do have my own space and situations where I express myself. Have real life meetups and meeting my friends, and there are so many other venues where I talk about myself and express myself. That's different. As far as this podcast is concerned, this is all about the guest and what they want to say. So that's why I'm more interested in what you people are talking more than anything that I would like to say.
So that's lovely. Honestly, I probably wouldn't have the patience, but yeah, it's wonderful. Honestly, I am so thankful that you reached out, and you also did a sample session with me to make me feel comfortable, because I've never done this before, and it's turned out wonderful. I honestly explored even more of myself in answering your questions. And thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much, Akriti. I wish you all the best for your future and your life. Thank you so much. Bye bye.
Bye. Thank you.
That was a great podcast with Aakriti Jain. Please subscribe to this channel and follow it for more awesome podcasts. Opinions expressed by the guests in this podcast are their own. The host or the sponsors of the podcast do not condone the opinions expressed by the guests or the actions arising out of those opinions. Any decisions or actions that the listeners might take as a result of listening to this podcast must be based on their own judgment and will be at their own risk. The podcast host or their sponsors will not be held responsible for the consequences of any actions and or decisions taken as a result of any content in this podcast.